Okay, good morning everybody and welcome to the FireStart BPM suite presentation at the BlackBerry and Cross Open House. We're very excited to be here as new partners of BlackBerry and Cross, and we're looking forward to working with all of you in the near future. What I'm going to give you here is a quick overview of FireStart, show you a little bit about what we do and what we are about, and in the future I'd be happy to sit down and have a more detailed demo presentation with anyone if you're interested. So I'm going to minimize the number of slides that I use and really try and show you the tool much more. There's just one slide that I think is quite illustrative of what we do. And that answers the question of where does FireStart fit in your IT landscape? Because you have applications that do a lot of things. You have your applications for each function, for each vertical, for each analytics part. So where would you fit a BPM like FireStart? Well, we fit across interfaces, across applications. So that means if you think of each application that you have that fulfills a certain purpose, that's great. It really fits in that purpose. BPM in general and FireStart specifically connect all these applications to your user. It puts the user on top, puts the user in the center, and lets the user run much more efficiently by using their business processes and by automating their business processes, where FireStart then connects with all the other applications to carry out tasks and transactions and update databases and run different functions and update information. There's a lot that FireStart can do in the background that your user doesn't have to. So this is really where we fit. And I'm just going to show you an example of a specific scenario using FireStart, and that might help you really fully understand the power of the tool within it. So this example is a high-end bicycle manufacturer. They do racing bicycles and things like that. And they resell these bicycles through a range of sporting stores and bicycle specialty stores across Europe. Now, what happens is these bicycles obviously come with pretty robust warranties. When a user calls the manufacturer with a warranty issue, such as a frame being broken, that really shouldn't happen in the first year of use, the manufacturer has to do a couple of things. They want to verify, number one, do we know this person in our CRM? If not, let's add them to our CRM. Let's verify from a technical standpoint, what's going on here. Let's look at the customer's complaint, customer's issue. If we feel it's valid, let's order a part under warranty, have it shipped. We need the customer details, the address, and so on and so on. Now, the whole initial touch point here can either be that the customer picks up the phone and calls the service line, in which case a user, the customer service rep, will enter that data into a SharePoint form. Or the customer might just go to the website of the manufacturer where they can fill out a form saying, I have a warranty issue, here's my bike, here's my model number, here's what happened, and so on. Either way, all this data gets transmitted through. The end result is, let's say if the warranty is approved, this is a correct case, then we need to order a new part. We need to send this new part to the customer, and we need to immediately email the customer and notify them that your part has been ordered and will arrive. So using this landscape, I'm going to show you an example of how that looks in FireStart. You can imagine a process like that without BPM, without FireStart, would involve a lot of people doing their silos of functions, from customer service to engineering to the ordering, and emails going back and forth between all these different people. With FireStart, it gets much more interesting. So let me show that to you. So here's a simple SharePoint list that we have. Now, we're doing it through a SharePoint item. As I said, this could also be a list on a website that could trigger a FireStart if it was an external form request. And I'm going to just enter here that the component is the frame. I'm pretending now to be the customer service person that received the call from the customer. And I'm going to say my frame is broken. I'll put myself as the customer. And hit save. So it's that simple. So as a customer service rep, I have entered a new item into a form in SharePoint. And if I go back here, we can see there is my new form that has been entered. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to do here. This is the FireStart client. This is where workflows and processes are designed and built. This is meant to be extremely user-friendly. It's drag and drop interface. You can basically, if you can draw a flowchart, you can build a workflow. That's our logic here. So let's look through what's about to happen. This workflow kicked off, and I've programmed this to kick off when any change to a business entity, in this case, the service request list on the SharePoint site, gets added. You can also have it linked by a timer, so every day, every week, every month, whenever you want, a certain workflow will kick off. You can have an external event, so for example, the website form can use a web service call with a unique element ID to kick off a workflow, and you can also have other events that would launch a workflow. The first thing it's going to do is it'll set the status of the service request to in progress. In fact, if I go back here and hit refresh, we should see that the status of the list that the item that I just created has now been changed to in progress. I told it then to check if the customers found the CRM. In my case, I am in the CRM, thankfully, but if I wasn't, it would actually create the customer record in Dynamic CRM. So to show you how easily something like this can be accomplished, we have a very visual mapping where we define what are the source data fields that I have, that I'm getting from SharePoint in this case, and how they correspond to the destination fields in CRM. And I can map that to get the fields to get pushed through. But since I was in the CRM, we went down this path. So the condition editors in FireStart can be pretty complex. You don't have to have a simple yes or no. You can have many, many different logical arguments that you can make for each step. And then you can have as many different output paths as you want. So you can get into some really complex business rules in here if you wanted to. In my case, as I said, I was in the CRM, so we went down this way, created a service ticket, got some basic date and time values, and sent a task to create a service request. So a task is where we need a human to perform an action. So we do that through a form. We have a form builder. Again, easy to use, drag and drop, create elements. If I wanted buttons, if I wanted a text field, if I wanted labels, I can do a lot of different things here. And I can also connect that to business entities. So fields from SharePoint, fields from CRM, fields from SQL Server, and I've created my little form here. But what's more interesting than creating a form is, how does a person consume that form? Well, one of the nice things about FireStart is we have an Outlook plugin. So if your business users are using Outlook, well, they can just get their forms directly from their email. So the task comes directly in Outlook. It is mobile ready, as you're seeing in this view, because of the resolution. And if I open it, then you will see it in the same format as was designed in the form editor. So this is without leaving Outlook as a person. I can receive my task. It's not a link to go to SharePoint or to FireStart or to anywhere else, but I'm in my emails and I say, oh, I have a task. I'm going to accept it because it's managed through a role. And I'm going to say, sure, let's order a frame. And I'm going to say, let's approve the spare part order. I've read everything. It's good. The key point is, so this task is now showing me all the relevant information that I need in front of me. I've got data coming from CRM, data coming from SharePoint, data coming from a SQL Server for parts list. So there's a lot of all the relevant data that I need is presented in front of me at once. I don't have to go looking for it. So going back to FireStart, once this step is done, if a spare part is needed, in my case I said it was, it'll estimate the price for the spare part, calculate the order total, simple condition editor. If the order is above $1,000, which is what we've hard coded in here, so it's, again, as I said, very, very easy to do. It'll send another request to approve the spare part order. So again, a simple form with all the information that's needed. In my case, it's going to be under. I've only ordered one frame. So then the next step is it's going to create a purchase order in SAP. And yes, you can do that easily in FireStart. There's a couple of things you can do. This is a wizard for purchase orders in SAP because it is one of the most commonly used transactions. You provide your system connection information, where to get the part number from. So this case, it's getting the part number from what I entered in Outlook, the quantity also from Outlook, and delivery date from Outlook. And it's going to push all this data to SAP, do the purchase order transaction, and wait to get the purchase order number back. And once it's got the purchase number from SAP, it will use that as a workflow variable further down. If you wanted to do something else, you can also, we've got a couple of different options here, but if you want to do something else, you can even have a general SAP activity. And with my general SAP activity, I can use that to perform any other SAP transaction I want. Provide my basic connection information, and now I can specify any, for example, BAPI transactions, Z transactions that I want to do in SAP and have that automated so users don't actually have to use SAP. So that part, I'm just going to delete that, and I'm going to say that's the line. So once it has created the purchase order in SAP, it'll put the purchase order into SharePoint and into Dynamics. So I have the purchase order number being tracked. It'll generate an order confirmation using a web service called Docs42, generate a nice looking little PDF document, and send an email to the customer saying a spare part has been ordered. So we have a basic email template with a couple of variables in there that are coming from the workflow itself, and that is sent to the customer. In fact, if I go back here and just hit refresh, we should see that that item that I created has now been hopefully completed, and sure enough, it's closed. The spare part was ordered, and here's the purchase order number from SAP. And even more, if I were to go into my emails, I'll just pull up my email here. You can see I have received an email saying my service request has been processed, the spare part's been ordered. Attached to it is a PDF file where I can now see my specific purchase order document that was ordered for me. So you have seen in a few minutes what can be done with a tool like FireStart. Something that would normally take coordination between multiple teams of people and multiple departments. If one person's sitting on their email and doesn't get to do a certain task, it can really be something that delays a whole process, makes a customer unhappy. Now you've got a much more efficient, streamlined process. So I actually talked you through the process steps as it was happening and showed you each element that was happening, what was going on. But you can also track this as a workflow. And as a workflow, in this case, it's completed, but you can see exactly what happened. I can see how long each step took. That took 0 seconds. We went down the yes path after this condition editor, and I can see for each different element, each execution time. In this case, I can even see who accepted the item and who did something. This took me 3 minutes and 24 seconds to complete the form. So this is all the sort of data that you have available to you when you're executing workflows and processes through FireStart, which really gives you a chance to do a lot and really measure and improve the way your organization runs processes. And obviously, when you're automating steps through workflows, well, you can just achieve simply so much more efficiency, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So that was as I said, quick overview. I hope it got you interested into the capabilities of FireStart, and I hope as you were watching that little example, maybe you started thinking about some examples in your organization, some potential processes that could be automated, that could be run much more efficiently using FireStart. and get in touch with BlackBerry and Cross. I'm always happy to discuss potentials of what if we did this and what if we did that. If you'd like, we're happy to work with you to do mock-ups and maybe even look at your processes and see how FireStart could be used. So let's use this as a way to start the conversation going. Again, as I said, I'm very excited to now be part of the BlackBerry and Cross family. It's really something I'm looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the open house. I know they've got an excellent agenda laid out, and I really wish I could be there. But I hope you enjoy yourself, and I look forward to hearing from all of you soon. Take care.